In this video, I want to revisit some of Fortnite's most gimmicky weapons of all time. But what qualifies something as being gimmicky, right? Well, if we go by the textbook definition, being gimmicky is something that is designed primarily to attract attention or create excitement through novelty rather than being useful, practical, or effective in the long term. It's those weapons that have like that goofy kind of ability that aren't really practical, but they definitely catch your eye. It will make a lot more sense as the video goes on, but guys, if you go to enjoy it, be sure to leave it a like. Use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop as always. There will be no exotics, as literally every single exotic item is the definition of a Fortnite gimmick. And of course, there are no LTM exclusives on this list. With all that out of the way, let's get right into this. First weapon I want to talk about today is actually kind of a cheat. It's two weapons. It's the Evoc Chrome weapons from Chapter 3, Season 4. And of course, the gimmick here with these weapons is the more damage that you do over time, the quicker you will actually be able to upgrade your weapon. Doing damage upgrades the rarity, which is really cool, and we have never seen anything like it before. I think this is actually a really unique gimmick, and I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a similar system, right, where you do damage and it actually upgrades the rarity of your weapons since Chapter 3, Season 4. The thing I really like about this is it promotes like an aggressive playstyle, right? It doesn't promote sitting in the house, camping, sitting in a 1x1. It promotes going out there, doing damage, fighting players, finding players. And if you do that, you'll be rewarded with your weapon constantly upgrading all the way up to the mythic rarity. And yes, while the Evoc Chrome Assault Rifle and the Evoc Chrome Shotgun aren't the best weapons in their class, once you start upgrading to those legendary and mythic versions, they start to become some absolute tanks. And yeah, I just think it's super unique that you basically hold control of the rarity of your weapon. That is not something that you can say in a lot of Fortnite weapons. Most of the time, it's just chest luck, right? Just open a bunch of chests and hope you find a higher rarity. But with this one, just get a green version, slay your way through the lobby, and get your way up to a mythic, which is really, really cool. I love it personally. Next, let's talk about the charge gimmick, and specifically with two weapons. That's going to be the charge SMG and the charge shotgun. While I personally felt like the charge SMG really lacked, and that's just because of the amount of time it took to charge up a full mag, I think there is an argument for a lot of people that the charge shotgun is potentially a top 3, top 4 shotgun of all time. I think the thing with these two weapons in particular is it just takes a lot of time to get used to. These are not just weapons that you can pick off the ground and use straight away. You're not going to have any success. You really have to know how to use this, how to play your timings, especially with the charge SMG. That thing can be absolutely disgusting with literally the fastest fire rate in Fortnite history if you know how to use it correctly. But if you don't, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. And I can say pretty much the same thing with the charge shotgun. If you go into using the charge shotgun like you're just using a regular spaz shotgun, you're not going to have any success that way. I remember like one of the first players to be like really good with the charge shotgun was Cypher PK. I remember watching his videos about how to use this weapon effectively. You know, all the tricks, like if you double tapped it, it wouldn't charge up, it would just auto shoot. All those little tricks. And that's what I think is really unique about these items is they take a ton of skill to use, but you are rewarded for that. While I'm not really sure we're ever going to see another weapon or a new weapon with the charge mechanic, I do think it is really cool on these two weapons specifically. It can be cool, but the charge SMG is pretty trash. Next, let's talk about a weapon that I guarantee you did not see coming here. It's going to be the Boombo. And, well, what is the gimmick here? I would argue that the gimmick with the Boombo is a bow that shoots shells that are explosive. I think that's a gimmick enough in and of itself. The Boombo is one of the least featured items in Fortnite history, and what I mean by that is it was out for one season all the way back in Chapter 1. I believe it was Season 8, and it has never come back ever again. Of course, you know, you have TNT's Kaboombo, that type of stuff, but the original version of Boombo, the one that was doing, I think it was like 150 damage in its legendary version, yeah, that has not come back, and at this point probably won't. It's been like 6 years now. I normally am not a fan of any of the bows, really, except for the Shockwave bow. The fact that it uses shotgun shells mean you don't have to worry about like hunting for a different type of ammo. You almost always have an abundance of shotgun shells, so you're really never going to run out of ammo here. This is really just an alternative to a sniper rifle, especially at that damage. What an absolute masterpiece of a weapon, and it's really sad that it seems like the devs have forgotten about it. Moving on to our current season of Fortnite, Chapter 2 Remix, that's going to be RGs Minigun, and if I had to put on paper the definition of a gimmicky Fortnite weapon, this is absolutely it. Of course, as you guys all know, the gimmick here is that when you shoot it, the lyrics to Eminem's song Rap God will come up on your screen and play with every bullet fired. Unfortunately, the gimmick here is for aesthetic purposes only. It has no actual gameplay function except for maybe distracting you a little bit. Seriously, like, I cannot be the only player who those lyrics just distract me every single time, but it feels really cool to use it and just like listen to the song while you're shooting it. It's super dope. And not to mention that the minigun itself is absolutely incredible. It's just like Brutus's minigun all over again. So yeah, I wasn't really sure whether I should include it on this list because it actually doesn't serve any gameplay purpose. It is pure aesthetic only. But since it is just so gimmicky and everyone here is familiar with it if you've been playing this season, I decided to add it here onto this list. And another weapon from the current season, that's going to be Ice Spice's rifle. And yes, this gimmick does actually change the gameplay. And the gimmick here with this weapon, I'm sure you all are familiar with it, but once you do damage to a player, it gives you like the hot pepper effect, right? Which mainly increases your mobility, your movement speed. I think this is a really unique gimmick. We saw it back with one of the heisted exotics. I believe it was the run and gun SMG. Every time you would reload that, you would get that like similar effect. So this isn't really a new gimmick by any means, but it is actually really good. And not to mention that the Scar itself, Ice Spice's rifle, is incredible. Even if they didn't add this gimmick to it, this weapon on its own would be one of, if not the best mythics that we've gotten during this season. But add that gimmick and yeah, I don't think there's a question, at least in my mind, that this is probably the best mythic in Chapter 2 Remix. I mean, I personally was a huge fan of Sky's Mythic Assault Rifle, and this is just honestly that exact weapon, but better. All right, now let's move on to the Prime Shotgun, and this is one of the coolest gimmicks in Fortnite history, I would argue personally. It's also one of the more creative ones. That is that you do a significant amount of damage when the shotgun is fully loaded. If you want to get into the numbers here, it actually deals 50% more damage upon firing the first shot in the magazine. So when all 4 shells are in there, you are going to do 50% more damage on that first shot, and that is absolutely massive with a shotgun. It adds a whole different layer of skill because, in my opinion, the Prime Shotgun without being fully reloaded is really not a great shotgun at all. It's actually pretty poor. But when that magazine is fully loaded, this shotgun becomes an absolute tank. It is so satisfying to hit a big time first shot with the Prime Shotgun, and it sets you up perfectly for the rest of the fight. It's almost, if you think about it, like you're using something like a Ranger shotgun, right? You want to take that first shot, you want to hit it, and you do not want to engage in the fight after that. You want to, back around the corner, reload, and then jump back into the fight. So it takes a ton of skill to use the Prime Shotgun, in my opinion. But again, just like the Charge Shotgun, you are rewarded if you are skillful with these kind of gimmicky shotguns. And you guys know my take on the Prime Shotgun. It is one of my favorite weapons in Fortnite history. I absolutely love this thing. Next, let's go back to Chapter 4 Season 2 and talk about the Lockon Pistol. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious here, but the gimmick is that you can lock on to players using this pistol. Unfortunately, I really don't think the Lockon Pistol is that good, at least in builds mode. Now, you guys know I do not play zero build, but I can imagine this thing is quite decent in zero build. I will say the lock-on mechanic, like your bullets literally warping through air to follow somebody, that is as unique as it's going to get in terms of gimmicks. I don't know that we've ever seen that. I think especially in a season like Chapter 4, Season 2, I think, where people are on the rails, people are flying with kinetic blades, people are flying with ODM gear, people are flying with Spider-Verse web shooters. You guys get the point. People are moving around very quickly. The lock-on pistol can be very good. Personally, for me, it almost feels a little too gimmicky. Like, I didn't really like the Lockon Pistol, but I know some people did. All right, now we got to talk about a weapon that is absolutely forgotten about. I'm going to go on record here and say that probably half of you guys watching this video don't even know that this weapon existed. It's the Ripsaw Launcher from Chapter 3. I mean, it is literally a weapon that shoots saws. Do I really have to say anything about the very obvious gimmick that's going on here? I'll be honest with you, I think they totally missed with this weapon. The Ripsaw Launcher is absolutely atrocious. It's one of those gimmicks that I really hope we don't ever see a weapon that uses saw ammo ever again. It is just a putrid weapon. I don't know why anybody would even bother taking this. I don't even want to waste any more time on this video talking about this gun. It should have never existed, and to be quite frank with you, I don't think the people that didn't get to use this item are missing out on anything. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's all I got to say about the Ripsaw Launcher. Let's just move on to our final pick. And yeah, so my final pick for this list, it's going to be the Explosive Repeater Rifle from Chapter 4, Season 3. What a weird weapon, right? We have seen a repeater rifle before in, I believe, Chapter 2, Season 5. It was absolutely horrible. So I'll be the first one to say I was judging the Explosive Repeater Rifle right away when it came out. I was very hesitant about it, and I'm so glad to say I was was wrong, because this explosive repeater rifle is an absolute tank of a weapon. And I know I didn't mention it earlier. I think it's quite obvious what the gimmick here is. It is a repeater rifle that shoots heavy rounds that also explode on impact. I thought it was really cool because people started using 2 explosive repeater rifles and treating it almost like double pump kind of. I mean, you did not even have to land the bullet on them, just land it close enough to them and you could do a solid amount of damage over and over again. I think the only downside here is that you're using heavy rounds, which obviously in a season like Chapter 4, Season 3 with no main sniper were obviously kind of hard to come by. But I absolutely love the explosive repeater rifle in a season like Chapter 4, Season 3 that I felt like was a little bit weak in its weapon selection. Look, I'll just say one thing: exploding bullets are a cool gimmick and they always will be. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that quick kind of revisitation on some of Fortnite's more kind of quirky, weird, gimmicky weapons. Now, this game was literally built on gimmicky items, so there are so many more that I very obviously missed on this list. So if you would like to see me make a part 2 to this video, drop down below in the comment section some more of your favorite gimmicky Fortnite weapons. Again, this game was built on being fun and weird and not serious. If you want to go play a serious battle royale, right, go play like PUBG or something. We all love Fortnite for its gimmicky items, and I think it definitely deserved its own video here on the channel. If you went on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like as always. Thank you for your constant support on all my videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.